Hello everybody, welcome you back to Let's Play Danganronpa, Happy Havoc, with your host behind the microphones, BrokenHexagram. How you guys doing? Hope you guys doing great, hope you guys doing fantastic. So, we're about to start this trial. Yay! You know what also we're about to start? Maybe a long video. So with this long video, I don't think I have any new skills. Oh, vocabulary, okay, yeah. Okay, I got 2 new skills. So, with this will probably be a little bit long one. Also, I'm probably going to not step away, for example, but go have a special guest with me. Mr. Sanjay Kick is going to be involved here, but he going to be here a little bit later, so yeah, because we're going to set up and do some other recordings on some different games, so yeah. But other than that, I'll go read the description. So, we got our evidence. Our e-handbook is right here. The bizarre class trial begins again. Why was Chio's murdered? Is the killer hiding within the group? Is there any help to be found in this series of murders? Okay, cool. That happened. So we have our 2 clips here. Our 2 clips are. We got Monokuma file, Sakura's account, locker room dumbbell, Mondo's account, car reader, main hallway e-handbooks, broken e-handbook, genocide Jack case trial, Hina's account, the boys locker room carpet, the 2 locker room posters, Chio's handbook, e-handbook, the status of the dead body, the disappearing stain, the library Celeste accounts. Alright, we got everything. We got report cards, we got presents, who cares, and we about to finish preparation. Let's start. Alright.
Let's begin with a basic explanation of the class trial. So, if you can figure out who done it, then only they will receive punishment. But if you pick the wrong one, then I'll punish everyone besides the blackened, and the one that deceived everyone else will graduate. Okay then. So, first off, let's talk about the murder weapon!
First, we have to make clear what was used to deliver the fatal blow. I guess it depends.
Chihiro's fatal injury. It appears it was a head wound.
According to the Monokuma file, the killer used a blunt instrument. But what kind of blunt instrument could it have been?
I forgot, I didn't put... Yeah, okay, there you go. What? No? Do you think we have some proof of contradictions?
Chihiro's fatal injury. It appears it was a head wound.
According to the Monokuma file, the killer used a blunt instrument. But what kind of blunt instrument could it have been? I bet it was an iron pipe.
No, that's wrong! Can we agree that the object that dealt the fatal blow was the dumbbell, found at the scene of the crime? It was covered in blood, and there was nothing else at the scene that could have caused that kind of injury.
And the wound on the victim's head is consistent with the shape of the dumbbell. As far as I'm concerned, there's no mistake and no room for doubt on this one.
You looked at her head wound?
Duh, yeah.
Yes! That's so creepy!
How? Hefty boy.
If you don't mind, I will proceed from here. let's move on to discussion of the culprit. Although, I believe the criminal behind this heinous act is already quite clear.
What? For real?
Yeah, for real.
Chihiro's killer is the fiendish serial killer, Genocide Jack.
Oh my. Genocide Jack, the fiendish serial killer. Did he really kill Chihiro? A new element has been added to non-stop debate. We like to hear more about it? Absolutely. For this debate, white lines will appear to disrupt your reactions. The use of truth bullets, your truth bullets will disappear if they hit directly on the lines. So you had to, think of them obstacles in your debate. But there's a way to keep the white noise from getting in your way. Please press the X button with the silencer, which you can shoot from the white noise down. However, if you shoot a actual mark with your silencer instead of the white noise, your time limit will be decreased. So aim carefully while you silence out. Silencer out. Oh, but if you have an action difficulty set to gentle, then the white noise won't appear at all. Which in case, forget about the silencer and just focus on the situation in front of you. Well then, good luck and have fun. We having fun.
The culprit is Genocide Jack. I'm sure. Case closed, as far as I'm concerned.
But that's impossible!
Why? What makes it impossible?
Well, I mean, come on! There's just no proof for it.
Hey, so, speaking of Genocide Jack, I don't know who that is!
The culprit is Genocide Jack. I'm sure. Case closed, as far as I'm concerned.
But that's impossible!
Why? What makes it impossible?
Well, I mean, come on! There's just no proof for it.
No, it's wrong!
I might know one reason he could be involved.
What?
I found this file while I was looking around the archive in the library. I guess it's some kind of confidential file the police put together about the Genocide Jack case.
What? That's kind of weird as shit, isn't it? What was something like that doing in the library?
Exactly, me too. I wonder too.
The why of it is probably more trouble than it's worth. So let's forget about that for now. More importantly, it outlines all the specifics of every Genocide Jack case in exceeding detail.
Yeah.
According to the file, there appear to be two defining characteristics in every Genocide Jack case.
I like how Celeste is just famous in silence.
The first is that a bloody message is found written at the scene of every murder.
Oh, that's right. Boob lust.
Boob lust? No, idiot.
No. It's actually bloodlust.
Exactly.
But more important is the other characteristic, and it's something that has never been made public.
Never made public? What the hell is it?
Why don't you tell them, Makoto?
Why do I have to tell them? Why don't you say it? The other characteristic in Genocide's case, Genocide Jack case, which is word the word doesn't know at all. If I'm mistaken, it's the I think it's this one.
I got it! Apparently, in every Genocide Jack case, the killer suspends the body in a certain way. Other than the killer, the only people who know about this are the higher-ups in the police department.
However, Chihiro was most definitely suspended in the same way. So, how did the culprit know about this when only high-level police officials were aware of it?
Name the Jesus Christ come.
There's only one logical answer I can think of.
Really? What's the answer? I need to know the answer.
It's because the culprit in this case is the real Genocide Jack.
Oh no!
No fucking way!
Exactly, Mondo.
You're saying Genocide Jack is one of us?
Oh, you finally talk. Yes.
Yes, in fact, it's Toko.
What? What? Really, Toko?
What?
Genocide Jack's true identity is Toko Fukawa.
Wait, okay, so you didn't stutter. You completely said it was Toko.
You lie!
Hamster boy.
What?
Yeah, is it Toko really?
Okay, wait, hold on a sec.
Yeah.
Toko has like bloodophobia or whatever, remember? What kind of serial killer is afraid of blood?
True.
Is Toko Genocide Jack? The answer is yes and no.
Okay, what is it, sir?
Another riddle? Man, why is this gotta be so complicated?
Exactly, I agree. Is Toko Genocide Jack or not? I need to know the answer. Sway? It's a riddle for sure, but I feel like I understand it. Well, I know the answer. I have the answer, Sway. What does it mean for Toko to be Genocide Jack, but also not to be Toko? The answer is that she's not one person, but multiple people, right? Okay. No, I think it's it's schizo. Yay!
Now I understand.
Well, I'm pretty sure it's me and gets a little bit harder. Playing this on medium.
Is it because
easy.
Genocide Jack has a split personality?
Huh?
Exactly.
I think I read that somewhere in the file, too. They thought that the suspect might have, what did they call it? Dissociative identity disorder.
Oh, okay. But still, to go and say that about Miss Fukawa is...
Perfectly acceptable. Toko's strange behavior after seeing the body is proof enough that she has a split personality.
Really? The one thing that shows Toko has split personality is her behavior did change after she fainted too.
I got it! You're talking about how she started acting totally different than usual, right?
That's right. Think back. She fainted when she saw Chihiro's corpse, and then, when she woke up...
Yep. I'm fine, I'm fine. Whoa, is that a dead body? Hey, are you dead? Yes! She must be hit her head really hard when she fainted. The word has a front and a back, on the top inning and a bottom inning, the C of two and a rail for lives. This is quite concerning. I mean, she sounds completely different.
She was acting funny, that's for sure. That melancholy tone of hers completely disappeared.
Don't go assigning adjectives to my tone without permission.
Not to mention, once she regained consciousness and saw Chihiro's body again, she was utterly calm.
Yeah.
In other words, within her is one personality that can't handle blood, and one that obviously can.
So when Toko trapped herself in her room, it's because she was scared of Genocide Jack?
Not too sure. Let's see. I won't let Genocide Jack have control. I will drive the killer. I I would drive out the killer. I would drive out the murderous fiend.
The reason she locked herself in her room wasn't to keep other people from getting in.
No.
It was to keep her other personality from getting out.
Really?
What?
Exactly.
Toko was afraid. Afraid of the murderous fiend inside of her. Of killing even more people.
How?
Yeah. How can you know all this?
Yeah, how do you know, sir?
I do believe you misunderstood her.
Okay.
What she's trying to say isn't, how can you know all this?
Yeah.
No. What she wants to know is, how could you tell them?
Oh.
Huh?
Last night, just before Monokuma gave his motive speech, Toko and I had a strange conversation.
Really?
She told me a most interesting story.
Really?
She said a murderous fiend lived within her, and she was afraid it could appear and attack at any time. And that trepidation is what's caused her to have such a bleak attitude. Isn't that right, Toko?
Man, you are one treacherous dog, you know that?
This is all a lie. Right, Toko?
I need some more spray for that.
You said you wouldn't tell anyone.
Yeah, he's
What?
I say,
You promised. I can't believe you lied.
You have only yourself to blame. You came to me with your tragic little story. I didn't ask you to.
jerk.
This is the real world, not some romantic fantasy fairy tale. Besides, you broke your promise first.
How so?
You said that as long as you were here, no matter what, you wouldn't let Genocide Jack kill anyone. But in spite of that promise,
I'm sorry, I couldn't keep our promise. I could not keep our promise. Don't worry, never again. I won't let Genocide Jack have control ever again.
You said if I kept my promise, you would go out with me. That's the only reason I promised.
I just realized something. My friend was right. His sister did cosplay as Soko. And I did not know this at the time. But yeah, she did cosplay as Soko.
how many times do I have to tell you? I never said that. But you weren't able to do it. You just couldn't resist that rush you got from killing, could you?
I tried. I swear I tried to control it,
But your efforts were useless. What a disappointment.
I hate you.
Well, the opening act is nearly finished. All that's left is to hear from the person in question directly.
Jeez.
The person? You don't mean...
Toko's body suddenly lunged backwards and allows dirt echo across the courtroom. But in the next second... Oh!
Well, hello there! Is it me you were hoping to see?
Okay, why your name's Jill though? Genocide Jill. Well, maybe because they thought you was a boy, who knows? Not too sure.
What the heck?
Oh, he fooled me.
So you figured it out, huh? Well, whatever. What are you gonna do? I'm the ultimate murderous fiend, Genocide Jack! Or better yet, let's go with Genocide Jill!
Oh, okay, so you pretty much was Jack. Jack the Jill wants to kill.
What the fuck is this?
Exactly.
Toko, what happened to you?
Not Toko! That's That's a loser name, and what happened is a textbook split personality. So what if one of them happens to be a serial killer? You should turn a blind eye to one's faults.
Oh, Genocide Jill, I do enjoy your laugh. Your laugh is so murderous mean. Your laugh is great.
She's so intense.
She is.
Like they say, sound in murderous mind, sound in murderous body.
Alright.
This one is so different from the one we've come to know.
Yeah?
Yes, well, the world is composed of a front and a back, you know. Just like how every inning has a top and a bottom, or how in the depths of every truth lives a little lie. Behind every dark and gloomy soul lives another that shines as bright as the sun!
Spirit bomb away. This is the murderous fiend inside Jack. This is beyond insane.
Miss Jack, Jill, can I ask you a question?
What's up?
Oh, you're so cute. Oh, I can take you on.
Some of us think you might be the mastermind behind our entire situation. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'll tell you, I am the mastermind of all masterminds!
Really?
Just kidding!
Then it's not true?
Of course it's not true! How dare you try to link me to that creepazoid! And another thing, the police and government and society in the outside world are totally powerless! I mean, they just let this idiotic, bloodthirsty maniac go buck wild all over town!
Sure, I'm a bloodthirsty maniac, but life is pain, right? To live is to hurt other people.
Wow. That's really deep. I need to put down the tattoo. Note to self to never ever put that on the tattoo.
It's a necessary evil if you want to survive. The act of living itself causes pain for everyone. Just kidding again!
This should be enough to convince you. This murderous fiend is responsible for Chihiro's death. There's clearly a motive, so there should be no doubt.
A motive?
Remember what Monokuma told us? If someone didn't murder and graduate within 24 hours, an embarrassing memory or secret would be revealed. Well, let's assume that Toko's secret was about Genocide Jack.
Okay, hold on, guys. I'll be right back. So, pretty much, you're gonna see a weird video imprint to here, so be right back. And now, for our featured guest, Mr. Sanji Kid! And I'm back, ladies and gentlemen. Have to get the door, and I have my special guest as I promised, like $20. This is Sanji Kid, and I have no idea what I'm doing here. Okay, so pretty much right now, they just found out Genocide Jack is Toko, and right now, they're keeping him out, so right now he's in the middle of the trial case. So let's continue.
If a secret like that came to light, Toko's life would have undoubtedly been forever ruined.
I don't have to do a voice acting, so they all know. One time to do a voice acting and do seconds.
So she had a very clear motive to never have that side of herself exposed.
Interesting. Very, very, very interesting.
That's the reason why.
But sorry, as much as I hate to admit it, I'm not the culprit.
You kind of look like the culprit. Huh?
But I cannot imagine anyone other than you could murder someone in such a bizarre fashion.
Maybe so, but nevertheless, it's the truth.
How so? Tell me why it's the truth.
Do you really expect any of us to believe you?
Especially that grin on your face.
Yeah. I could never believe a word you say, you monster.
Maybe she's totally right about this, but there's something still bothering me. Something she said, I need to get more details about all of this. Mental arguments. I'm getting dizzy. That's a dead body.
Sorry, but I didn't kill anyone.
You say that, but do you really expect any of us to believe it?
Perhaps if you had an alibi, that would change things.
Oh, an alibi, huh? Now we're talking.
When you compare your past murders to this incident, the modus operandi matches completely.
No, it's wrong.
Great, that's wrong. Great.
Are the methods of murder really exactly the same? I'm not so sure about that. I think there's a slight difference between the Genocide Jack cases and this one.
And also, no, this is the first time I actually saw you get to see this in action. No, he just seen clips on it on YouTube, but actually been involved in the case, so this is the first time.
Yeah, I've never seen this before, so I didn't know how this went about. I didn't know if you put in information with little cases like Ace Attorney, Phoenix Wright.
Oh no,
or if you, or right now, I had no idea you just picked the outfits.
yeah, but you know, like doing the pre-trial stuff, like because solve the mystery stuff, you learn about the different methods. Like for example, like Francisco, they have less of things.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Could you keep going in the game if you miss something?
Yes.
Really?
Not keep going. No, you don't miss something. It pretty much makes sure you have to get the exact right.
Okay.
So the game.
But maybe when you're picking stuff like you just did in the action time or whatever,
Yeah, it would.
that can affect the outcome.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Not affect the outcome, but it affects the time.
Huh? How's it any different?
Uh-oh, you don't know?
No, I really don't. I just got here.
Well then, human garbage, let me tell you!
Just don't click me. I don't think you're very hygienic.
I murder with passion and conviction.
Yeah, she kills something.
So specific style with scissors. Gotcha.
I consider myself a professional, and I have a very particular way of doing things.
Yeah. Right glove must have been like your special
Imagine you go to a fancy Italian restaurant. They're very picky about the noodles, the sauce, everything.
Okay.
But what happened to Chihiro?
Perfect security meal so far. I don't know if that's true.
It'd be like if that same Italian restaurant started using ragu or Chef Boyardee.
Hey, Chef Boyardee is delicious.
This is no creation of mine.
Oh, really?
So she's actually a psychopath.
Yeah.
Let me rephrase that in a way that maybe makes more sense. There are two clear differences between the Genocide Jack cases and this one.
Okay. The one clear difference between the murders is the photographs of the other Genocide Jack cases look on the neck and stomach area. You will see there's a clear difference. The victim's
I
face-
got it! For one, the cause of death is different.
Okay.
In the Genocide Jack murders, all the victims were killed the same way. According to the case file, they were all apparently killed with a pair of scissors. But Chihiro died from a blow to the head, right?
Oh, I didn't know that, so there's no way I could make that connection.
Yes. That is remarkably different from the other murders.
That's a pretty big difference.
Very big difference.
Wouldn't it be strange for someone who kills the same way without fail to suddenly change their method? And there's more. One more conflicting detail.
That's right. In my recipe of murder, if the bloody message is the tortellini, then the arrangement of the body would be the pesto sauce.
Well, that face is not making me happy. It's creeping me out.
Could you please stop comparing killing people to cooking?
I know, right?
That's why I got the food behind me. Alright.
So,
You're
Are you saying the other difference has to do with how the body was arranged?
Maybe, I don't think so. That's right. And the second difference is labeled how she suspended. The photos of the other Genocide Jack cases, all other victims were stabbed with their hands. So you see the clear differences. I'll say suspend.
I got it!
There you go.
Do you remember what the killer used to suspend her? They used some kind of rope to hang her up by her wrists.
What is your point?
It's a different method.
Well, in all the previous Genocide Jack cases, something else was used to suspend them. Specifically, pairs of razor-sharp scissors.
And guess what? I used my own specially designed scissors for the murders and the arrangement.
Are you biting your thumb off?
Like I said, I'm a professional, so naturally I'm very picky about the tools I use. And you know what else?
What else?
There's more.
Big Mac said there's two differences, but he's wrong.
Big Mac.
I guess my name is Big Mac, okay.
Big Mac? Are you referring to me?
You're a Daily Dollar special.
No, that's a cheeseburger.
Really?
Yeah.
Big Mac was never a special?
No.
Yeah, well, in this case, it means it.
Listen up, Big Mac. There's actually one more difference.
What's the difference?
Huh?
I need to know. The suspense is not killing me.
My word, you really didn't notice? Take a look at who the victims were in each Genocide Jack case.
All guys, right?
There's a pattern there, just waiting to be discovered.
I don't know who the victim is, so I can't assume. I don't know if it's a guy or a girl.
Pattern?
Figure that out, and it'll be plain as death why I couldn't have possibly killed that little lolly girl.
Alright.
Let me see. There's a pattern surrounding the Genocide Jack case victims and Chio victims. If you look at these different things, you'll see the notice. You have to figure this out because Chio. We figured that out.
I got it! Is it because Chihiro was a girl?
Bingo! Bullseye! Right on the money!
What?
What are you talking about?
Why are you so dense, bro?
In all the Genocide Jack cases, all the victims had something in common.
Ken Harada 32, Texiro Honda 17, Soji Gaku 23, Kano Issei 14, Logic for ages, Takeshi Yoshida 30. Go ahead, read them off, sir.
Kumatsuna, Colonel, Sakafume, Gono, Uchida, Naokiya, Takeshi, Manamu, no, not Manamu, Manamu, Nito, Yumejima, there's no end to it.
Okay, see, I'm gonna read all this now, go to the names.
No, I usually go to the names. I just know a little bit of pronunciation of Japanese. Just a little.
They were all guys?
That's right! The people I kill with such passion and conviction are all adorable little men!
They didn't look little.
I can't believe I said it! I'm so embarrassed!
What's extra better?
The hell is wrong with you?
Agreed.
I can't help it! I'm just a full-throttle boy-on-boy fangirl, and the mopey side of me just hates it. But now I'm on the fast track to becoming a full-blood fan madam!
Yeah.
So since Chihiro was a girl and not an adorable little man, you wouldn't kill her?
Would an Italian chef suddenly start making ramen just because they're both noodles? Don't be stupid. I have too much passion and conviction to cross that line. That's the absolute reality of the one and only.
We get it. You've clearly explained your hobby and your philosophy. But that's not all there is to it. It's a different matter entirely, when you're forced to kill in order to survive.
True.
True.
Quiet, lolly car!
Lowly, Kirk.
And that look so serious.
I would never kill for a reason as petty as mere survival. And if by some fluke I did kill to survive, why would I bother with the message and arrangement? It'd make me the obvious suspect!
Very true.
That does make some amount of sense.
Yeah.
Plus, whatever reason I have for killing, I would never leave out my prized scissors.
Scissors?
Who would go out of their way to use a big, stupid, heavy dumbbell?
In other words, why would she kill someone without her weapon?
Yep.
Maybe you used the dumbbell because you couldn't find any scissors in the school.
Unless she has some on her.
Any scissors?
Any scissors?
I don't just use any scissors. I only use my own set of high-class envy of the entire world scissors!
Really?
Okay, whatever. There still aren't any in the school.
Yeah, that's not in the scissors.
Are you sure about that?
Wait, what do you mean?
Pull one out, pull one out.
You asked for it.
Okay. Someone's telling time.
She's fully equipped.
That's right! So I can kill anywhere, anytime!
Kill anywhere, anytime, yes.
Why would I resort to dumbbells or rope when I have my trusty scissors by my side?
I like how her hair is kind of just floating in midair.
Yeah.
Go ahead, tell me I'm wrong! You can't, can you? Gutter dogs, all of you! Not to mention, I have no clue how to tie a good knot. So rope's totally out of the question anyway.
Oh, girly.
I have no idea what's going on anymore. Could such a heinous villain really be innocent?
Yes.
Yeah.
But the body really was suspended, right? And nobody but the police knew about that.
I mean, because, you know, certain killers prefer a certain method. They're not going to suddenly just change out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's like the jokes
Yeah.
that they make using words.
That's why we figured it had to be the real deal, and not some copycat killer or whatever.
Yeah, the thing, yeah, I don't think it was her. I don't think it was Coco, a.k.a. I'm just not real about it. Actually, hold on. There is one person. One person could be copy the Genocide Jack cases. Do you know who is it?
Nope, I have no clue.
Well, I can try and figure out because only other one person knows about this other case. It is...
Here's my answer.
Really?
Byakuya, it's possible you could have found out, isn't it? You'd have no problem gaining access to classified government documents or internal police records.
He gave me the information already, and no one else knew about it.
Oh, wow. Okay. So he's the only person who knows?
Plus, you'd already looked through the Genocide Jack file before this all happened, hadn't you?
Are you saying Mr. Togami did it?
I don't go that far, hamster boy, but maybe
He knows something, at least.
Then, the reason he pushed the theory of Genocide Jack being the killer so hard was because he wanted to pin the crime on her.
okay.
Oh, he rearranged the scene to disguise it and make it look like I put my stamp on it. The adorable glasses man was behind it all. Oh, I'm on fire!
I told you, be careful, little handsome man.
Now, Byakuya, what's your response?
What is this?
I see. So now the suspicion falls on me.
Why does it sound like you just around?
Are you putting on your trap card?
Then I must ask, when would you say I began acting suspicious? Surely you must have an answer.
Looking back and thinking about it now, the way you were acting right before we discovered the body was a little strange.
And the locker room, they were
wanted to go to the girls' locker room right away, right? But since you're a guy...
I should have naturally thought of the boys' locker room first. Is that what you want to say? The victim was Chihiro, a girl. Hence why I said we should check the girls' locker room.
Nothing strange about that, I'd say.
So far, anyway. Yeah.
On the contrary, there's something very strange.
Really?
Okay then, what's so strange about it? Go ahead, share with the rest of the class.
Oh, man, that's my ego. There's a clear contradiction in the way how they just said. I just need to make it clear to everyone. A new element has been added to your non-stop debate. You like to hear it? Of course. Next thing you're going to, next we are going to add something called a truth flashback.
Hold up. That face is not helping in the right, whatever,
Corner there?
Jill.
Yeah,
That's not helping things.
Alright, truth flashback. If you want to aim for a weak spot, just hold down the triangle button. ... Then you will memorize memorize that weak point. Memorize that phrase and be shot at once as long with one single truth bullet. If you shoot down or change a truth bullet cylinder, it will disappear. Disappear in your truth cylinder. However, if you use this flashback feature, it may be used many times you want it. If you don't have an answer or a lie or a contradiction to load your truth bullet, it might be wise to memorize a different weak point and use this to make your case. Is the best time to use a flashback? Well, you just have to know. You just need to know your king's wits, won't you? In this case, I was. In this case, though, I will say you have not used a flashback to recruit anything. Then good luck and have fun.
So, you said Byakuya was acting kind of weird before we found the body. But he was acting weird... how?
If you're presented with the opportunity to check out the girls' locker room,
You absolutely take it! That's a natural reaction for any guy!
The victim was Chihiro, who was a girl. So of course I would suggest we check the girls' locker room first. There was no time for pointless distractions. What's so strange about that?
I wish you'd taken me with you.
So, you said Byakuya was acting kind of weird before we found the body. But he was acting...
If you're presented with the opportunity to...
That's a natural reaction!
The victim was Chihiro, who was... So of course I would suggest we check. There was no time. What's so strange?
I wish you'd taken me with you.
So, you said Byakuya was acting kind of weird before we found the body.
Shoot!
So, you said Byakuya was acting kind of weird before we found the body. But he was acting weird.
If you're presented with the opportunity to check...
That's a natural reaction for any...
The victim was Chihiro, who was a girl. So of course I would suggest there was no time for... What's so strange?
I wish you'd taken me with you.
This is so like got 10 minutes to figure this out, but.
So, you said Byakuya was acting kind of weird before we found the body.
But he was acting... If you're presented with the opportunity to check...
That's a natural
The victim was Chihiro, who was a girl.
No, that's wrong! I'll tell you what's so strange about that. Because up until we actually discovered the body, we couldn't have known who the victim was.
Really?
So your claim that you went to the girls' locker room first because Chihiro was the victim doesn't hold up.
I see. That's a good answer, I must admit. Interesting. Very interesting indeed. But your reasoning is still too weak.
How?
Huh?
Exactly.
What's wrong? Is that it? Surely you've got more than that. Go ahead. Show us.
What is with Bakuga's attitude? He doesn't even care. I got in the corner, and he's acting like he has nothing to do with it.
What's the matter? You're not finished already, are you? There must be more to it.
Oh, you Bakuga's not you.
There is. I think.
There is more to it. Think about it.
Thank you, Kyoko.
We just talked about the differences between this case and past Genocide Jack incidents. The proof you're looking for is hidden in there.
Oh? Proof that I'm the culprit, you mean?
The difference between this case and just like Kent's moments is the evidence of Bakuga is responsible getting in there. What could it be? Make your eye. That's why these videos are so loud.
What? The difference between the cases? You want me to explain it again? When I want to kill, I use my very own special scissors. And I use those same scissors to arrange the body.
But Chihiro was suspended with... It was some kind of rope, was it not?
That's right! It absolutely was!
Then there must be something very fishy indeed about that rope.
Hey, Byakuya, where'd you get it from, huh?
I'd never seen that rope before in my life.
No, that's wrong. Actually, I'm pretty sure you have seen it before. Because, you see, that rope, or should I say, that extension cord?
What? An extension cord?
Byakuya, you've used the extension cord in the library more than once, haven't you?
True, yeah.
And the same extension cord that was in the library all this time went missing after the murder.
Okay. That's so sad. Yeah. Well, it's sad, man.
And there's no way someone who uses that extension cord as much as you do wouldn't discover that fact.
And Byakuya must be the one who took the extension cord. I can't imagine any other possibility.
That's true. It could be.
That's really what you think? Then your conclusion is something like this? I killed Chihiro in the girls' locker room, then hung her up and wrote that bloody message. I intentionally made it look like Genocide Jack was behind it. Is that about right?
There has to be one more thing then.
Yeah, it has to be, because this is too simple. This is too easy if it was him. He's doing it again. He's totally unconcerned.
Totally condescending.
Oh, yeah, very condescending. As if he's not even involved. Wait, not even involved.
What's wrong? I asked you if you think that's what happened.
Hell yes, that's what happened. So that's it, right? Byakuya's the killer.
Looking a little crazy then.
Yeah, he kind of looks a little crazy.
I don't disagree with not disagreeing.
He kept calling this a game, right? So he'd be totally willing to do something like this to win.
Sorry, but could we hold on just a second?
Okay.
I think we need to talk about this a little more.
Yeah?
Do we really need to? We've already decided who did it.
Did we really?
I know, but still. There's something that's still bothering me.
What's bothering you?
Is that right? And what, pray tell, is still bothering you?
Why are you complaining?
I killed her in the girls' locker room, then disguised my crime. Specifically, I dressed it up to make it look like it was the work of a homicidal psychopath.
Yeah, you did.
What about all that bothers you?
Because you got that swing mug about yourself. Wait. what was just that now? Something's not right. Chio's body was definitely found in the girls' locker room, but what does that mean? Can I really accept what Bakugan said as the truth? No, I don't think so. There's something wrong. It was the scene
I got it! You say you killed Chihiro in the girls' locker room, right? But are you sure about that? Isn't it possible that the murder took place somewhere else?
How disappointing. What kind of question is that? Even in the world of disappointments, this is a true letdown.
That's a legitimate claim.
She was found dead in the girls' locker room. There is absolutely no question about that.
Someone could have killed her somewhere else and moved her to the room, making it look like she was...
How could the scene of the crime have been anywhere else?
Well, I think it's entirely possible that she was killed somewhere else, then carried there later.
Thank you.
Along with the rest of the murder scene.
Yep.
The rest of the murder scene?
Nani?
That was awfully specific. Please tell me you have a reason for saying all of that.
I don't understand why you're upset. You're being called a murderer.
I believe I do.
Hey, Bakugan, did I just take you off guard? When the story suddenly moved to the crime scene, Bakugan, who been so confident up till now, maybe Bakugan even didn't realize the actual scene of the crime could have been somewhere else.
Hey! Don't just move on without permission! What do you mean she was killed somewhere else?
Eyebrows.
Come on, Makoto. If there's any chance the murder took place somewhere else, let's see the proof.
Okay. The evidence that shows the murder took place somewhere else, there must be something about the switching to voice locker room, which I know is the posters.
I got it! The proof that she was killed somewhere else is the poster that's hanging in each locker room.
Your proof is some posters?
You and I have to agree with him on this one.
The poster in the girls' locker room was a picture of a big-boobed supermodel.
Oh,
but don't you think that's kind of strange?
Yeah. Shouts to Ashley Brown.
Why would the girls' locker room have a poster like that?
True, why would girl locker room have a big-breasted woman inside a girl's locker room? That would probably be in the boys' locker room, I believe.
I bet those massive jugs of hers were totally fake!
Possibly, but still.
Meanwhile,
Not relevant.
the boys' locker room had a poster of the super popular boy band Tornado.
Yeah.
Again, that doesn't really seem to belong in a boys' locker room.
They combine and they form the group Twister.
So you're saying that maybe the posters were switched?
I believe so. It seems like it, yeah.
And there's one other thing I noticed about the locker rooms. You know what I'm talking about, right, Sakura?
You're referring to my protein coffee, aren't you?
Protein coffee?
While I was in the girls' locker room earlier, I spilled some protein coffee on the carpet. But I noticed that after the murder, the stain had been totally scrubbed away.
No, the stain it was not the stain was scrubbed away. It was moved to the boys' locker room.
I got it! The stain on the girls' locker room carpet wasn't scrubbed away. In fact, I found it on the boys' locker room carpet.
That's definitely the stain from my protein coffee.
Oh yeah, so you wonder how they see it. It's like the people put you at the image. In the Danganronpa anime, there's like little locations like little visual computer techniques shows pictures of different stuff together.
So it shows all the evidence and...
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
So you're like, oh, how they would know this? It's plain from the anime, but the game doesn't really give a good explanation.
Then, does that mean that the carpets were switched too? But why would anyone do that?
to move the murder scene from one locker room to the other. It's certainly plausible, don't you think?
Well, yeah, if they stay on the carpet as a poster, they made the switch to make it think, oh, it didn't happen here, it happened over there. It makes sense.
What? In other words, in order to completely swap the scene of the crime, the blood-stained poster and carpet were moved along with the dead body. By doing this, the killer was able to change the entire room where the murder took place.
I can certainly follow your reasoning, but why would the culprit bother doing that?
Huh?
Why would they go to all that trouble of switching the scene of the crime? Actually, an even bigger question. If the murder did take place in the boys' locker room, then how did Chihiro get in the boys' locker room in the first place? To get into the locker rooms, you have to swipe your e-handbook across the card reader device. But Chihiro's handbook should have only allowed her access to the girls' locker room. She had no way to get into the boys' locker room to begin with.
No, she did have a way, and I can tell you what it was.
What was it?
I highly doubt that.
Just hear him out. So messy.
Shut up! I'm telling you, I know how she could have done it.
Okay. Is he right? Because he only got into the board somehow?
Meg, you're arguing.
Yeah, see, it's all normal, so it gives you one option, the other one.
Is it really possible? Could Chihiro really have gotten into the boys' locker room somehow?
Ah! I got it! She must have hacked her e-handbook! She was the ultimate programmer, after all. I'm sure that would have been no problem for her.
No, I don't think that's it. She used the thing that was in the main hall.
Huh? What thing?
I'm talking about Leon's handbook, of course.
No, it's wrong! No, I don't think Chihiro used Leon's handbook.
Really?
Why not?
Because Leon's handbook was broken.
Oh. Well, then, yeah, I guess that'd be pretty impossible, huh?
I am struck silent by how quickly you gave up.
Yeah.
Plus, isn't there a regulation against using someone else's handbook?
Does that mean that you'd be punishing someone?
Actually, the rule states that loaning your handbook is prohibited. It says nothing about borrowing one. In other words, you could borrow a dead person's handbook all you want, and you'd be safe.
Yup. Hit the nail square on the noggin.
Of course, if it were broken, that wouldn't make any sense anyway.
So then, she must have hacked hers, like I said. She used her ultimate programmer skills and...
You can't fix an e-handbook. The instant you open one up, a security buzzer starts glaring.
So, if she didn't use Leon's handbook, and she didn't modify her own handbook...
Maybe Mr. Naegi's initial assumption is just... wrong?
It seems like there's no way she could have got into the boys' locker room. So I guess so.
Okay then, I vote for Byakuya.
That was quick.
Yep. Is that it then? Chio was killed in the girls' locker room and Vita was the only one who did it? Really? But still, I don't get what else can I do?
Hold on a second.
Thank you.
I agree with you, though. I think you're on the right track.
Thank you.
What the? You finally decide to open your mouth and that's what you've got to say?
Well, the few times she opened her mouth, she's made sense.
Yep.
There's no way she could get in the boys' locker room, right? So...
Why are you so sure she couldn't get in? There's still one other way she could have gained access.
What?
What are you talking about? What other way is there?
Well, to explain that, why don't we take a little break from the trial? I'd like you all to come see something.
Okay.
Wait. Just what do you think you're doing?
Yeah, what do you think you're doing?
Don't worry. This'll make the whole trial more exciting. I'm sure that thought must please you.
Huh? It'll make things more exciting? Well, all right then. I declare an official class trial recess. Now then, what is it you want to show us? It better not be boring.
Alright, yep. This will be a prize trials recess. I think I'm gonna stay. So yeah, because me and Sonny got to go out and have fun.
We are?
Yep.
News to me.
So other than that, thank you so much, guys. Tune in next time for a whole new episode. Well, pretty much tune in tomorrow at 4 o'clock and see what else will go on. Hope you like that little image I put in the middle of the video. Yes. See you later, guys. Until then, have a good day. Have a good night.